this is a topic that right now might feel extremely political or very heated. And that's why I took on the challenge of having a conversation about it. Because if you know me, and if you don't know me, you're going to meet me. Hi. Um, I try to go about everything with
Mm.
happiness. So, and at Change 3, we try to help. Our focus, our mission, our calling is to help businesses grow happily. And so the happy part of it is actually the hardest thing to do, guys, to have that positive, constructive, productive, respectful disposition. And so I actually conducting a great experiment with this topic is to see, can we have a collaborative, open conversation about what seems to be a divisive topic? And so I've got actually one of the leading experts on leadership development and also this topic, Colonel John Boggs. I am not going to try to tell the world about how amazing you are. I'll let you do that yourself.
Wow. Well, um, I don't know if I'm amazing, but I'm a retired Marine Corps officer, infantry officer. I've been in the Marines for over 37 years. Um, yes, I started as a young teenager. Yes, I did. And um, and um, and I have been involved with leadership development and executive leadership coaching now for about 14 years. And I work with very senior executives. I work with executives. Well, that's what I do. I work with them. And so one of the topics that have been an annoyance for them is lately has been diversity issues. And I say an
Yeah.
annoyance, it's not really an annoyance as much as people want to get it right. They don't know what to do. So many do nothing. And others are
Mhm.
just afraid of saying something that will be um, taken the wrong way. So I work
Mhm.
with them on that. It's because leadership is a diversity is a leadership issue, and that's how I look at it. I don't look at it as it's something separate and distinct. It is a leadership issue that all leaders have to deal with.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
thank you very much. Okay, so let's dive in. So, um this is the first time that we've been able to successfully live stream on LinkedIn. So forgive me if I'm getting used to it. I know this is my favorite joke, you guys. So if you've been joining me every month, you're going to be tired of this joke, but I know I only look 13. And so I might seem like I'm hip on all this tech, but I'm a little bit older than that. So forgive me. So I'm gonna do my spiel, y'all. So like, subscribe, follow, join in, take part. This is the fourth of our Growing Happily Together series for 2024. We
Mm,
have covered all sorts of growth related topics. We've talked about having healthy conversations around political topics in and around your work, which is not to do that. We've talked about how do you build real relationships in virtual channels, which is putting your face in front of people like what we're doing today, live streaming on LinkedIn and having a live audience in and Zoom webinar. Last week, we had almost 200 executives join us where we talked about breakthrough ideas in digital marketing, where we built a B2B audience in consumer social media channels. And I did a test and I walked everybody through the research, and we're going to have that research available on our website. And today, we added an extra session just because I really wanted to talk about this topic, which is leadership. So when people talk about growth, they talk about marketing, they talk about sales, they might talk about operational efficiency, but they don't often talk about leadership. And in all of this incredible work I've been doing with John over the years, what I find, and John, I'd love for you to comment on it, is that almost everything in your business, good or bad, comes down to leadership. Would you say that's correct?
Oh, I would say that is absolutely correct. I just had a conversation just earlier today with a senior executive, a sales guy in a sales company. And we talked about companies that on paper, they should be knocking them dead. They should be $500 million companies, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not. They're doing 150. They're
Mm,
not where they should be, although the finances, the way they're handling their company, everything seems to be going well, should go well.
mm-hmm.
What's holding them back? It's their leadership. And
Yeah.
fix the leadership, there is a return on investment for investing in your leadership. And for most companies, it's realizing your full potential.
Yeah. And that's true for small businesses too, right? Like mine, my little
Oh,
business.
absolutely right.
Every leader matters.
Everything that matters. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies to brand new startups. I mean, across the spectrum, um, from defense to tech to, I mean, you name it, I've worked with it. And I kind of smile now because I haven't worked with the railroad industry yet. So
Oh, fun. Well, maybe
I'm
today's
looking
the
forward to
day.
doing that. Yeah, maybe so.
So, in these discussions, so today we're talking about leadership, and as you can see, John is the real deal. We're gonna go deep today because leadership is about empathy, openness, communication, clarity, direction, forward progress. And then I'm sure I messed that all the way up, and John will correct me. But it's all about, like, inspiring people to do the things that you need them to do and to be leaders themselves, right? So what I wanted to do is, I always like to start off our conversations with information about the people's in the room. So we had about 50 executives that wanted to, 44 executives that want to join us today. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen. I don't, for our discussions for our Growing Happily series, I rarely do slides because I really want it to be a conversation. I am going to share some data. All right. So here are, I'm trying to make it so it looks party. All right. Can you guys see that? Okay. So two questions. When people register for our event, we ask them two questions so we can learn more about them. And then during the event later on, you guys, we're going to ask you four more questions about leadership and development. As you can see, even though I'm using a very spicy acronym, DEI, this event is actually really about leadership development and diversifying your leadership force. So as you can see here, most of the people who are participating, and it's a really diverse group, a lot of people in big companies, like John said, some folks in smaller companies, big diversity, a lot of diversity in the type of companies, and a lot of them are doing things with development of leadership talent, right? External leadership training, individual coaching, executive level coaching, internal development programs, which is amazing. When I was a sweet little flower just budding in my career, my company invested in some of the best leadership at the Center for Creative Leadership in San Diego. And it was life changing for me. And definitely, if you're a small business like mine or you're in a big company, and you guys aren't, times are tough and you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to, we can't afford these leadership programs. I can tell you, like John said, it begins and it ends with your leaders. So definitely investing in, your leaders, so they're operating at that high caliber and they're realizing their full potential is absolutely important. So if you're not in this group here, then I would strongly recommend that you have a look at what your competitors are doing, because it looks like they're definitely investing in leadership. So the second thing, which takes us to our topic for today, which the topic is, how will DEI truly impact your company's growth potential, right? And I made it almost a loaded question on purpose because I was doing a great experiment, and I'm going to tell you guys how it's been going. So the second question is really what we're going to talk about today. How beneficial is it to have a mix of backgrounds, cultures, perspective, life choices, decisions, thinking, thought processes, just diversity from that perspective, the way that your leaders think, what their skills are. How beneficial is that to your organization? Not just leaders, but everybody, right? You're building teams. You want teams that have lots of skills, or do you want them to all be the same? And so most of the people who are in the room today are saying, yeah, it's very important. Some people say it's critical. So almost 60% of you guys are saying, like, having this kind of, diverse base of decision making is really important. So John, do these data look about right to you? Are you familiar with this, or is anything out here jumping out at you?
No, it actually it looks about right. Um, Maybe a little light in the leadership training, but it's about right. I'd say it's about
Interesting.
40%. I'd say
Hmm.
it's about 40%. And so you're coming in at 38. So as far as external leadership training, um, now as this is going to sound very odd, but I'm going to tell you that well, leadership training
Mhm.
doesn't work.
Interesting. I love
Leadership
it.
training, leadership training doesn't work.
Mhm.
Um, uh, well, they say, well, how do you know that? It's because I do leadership training. Um, well, you're going to say it doesn't work. That's correct. The whole point of leadership training and development is to get people to change their habits, to get people to start doing something differently, to
Mhm.
start functioning. I'll just say, just
Mhm.
function as a leader.
Mhm.
Um, Self-awareness and all those wonderful things that come along with developing as a leader. Um, so why doesn't it work? Well, there's a lot of great programs out there. I haven't run across one that's a bad one.
Mhm.
And I say it doesn't work because of this. In order for leadership training to stick, you have to do something that makes it stick. And if you're not doing coaching or you're not being evaluated on those things that you just went through, if that's not part of your evaluation process, people are going to let it go. They'll let it go.
Mhm.
Their
I
behaviors
see.
will change for 6 weeks. And if it's
I
really
see.
good, it may
Yeah.
go to 7 and 8. But eventually, people will slip back and they'll start doing what they were always doing in the first place.
That's why I'm not skinny.
Exactly. Well, there's a point.
Cause skinniness you can train on how what to eat and what not to do and all that, but like you
Unless you
said,
do something that
it
makes it stick.
doesn't. Right, it's got to
Right.
stick. Right,
And
like
that's
that
why
going to a
those,
wedding or something.
like going to those programs that have the coaching involved, like Weight
Yeah.
Watchers and a few others,
Yes, they show up
they
at your
tend
house.
they
Yeah.
tend to do better. Why? They
Okay.
do something that makes the training stick. So if
Mm-hmm.
you want the training to stick, better to put your money into a program that has coaching involved with it or a
Hmm.
coaching program.
Yeah.
Either way, then the leadership development training sticks. Good leadership development training, since the topic is diversity, will rolls that in. If you're a good leader across the board, you're going to be a good leader
Right.
across the board. So diversity really becomes almost a non-issue. What I mean is it's not a separate and distinct issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of being a good leader. It's part of having a good vision for your company that includes diversity. It's part
Mm-hmm.
of developing your strategic goals and objectives that includes diversity. It's not a separate and distinct issue. Now, for some companies, it starts off that way, but then they roll it into the greater vision of the organization, the greater um, strategy of the organization. And then you look back and you wonder, hey, what was all this diversity stuff about? Look at you. You've got black, white, red, yellow across every age group,
Mm-hmm.
veterans, non-veterans, you've got it all.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly you don't even realize that in the very beginning, it was a little bit of a struggle. But now you look back 4 or 5 years, and it's not long. I just said four or
Mm-hmm.
5 years. You look back 4 or 5 years, and you're saying, "Hey, what were we all worked up about? This
Worried
stuff,
about. Yeah.
exactly. This stuff's working out beautifully."
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let me dig into this. Okay. So
Mhm.
now we're gonna, like I said, I'm always researching because I'm a research focused kind of a growth proponent, right? It's always research. So I've been researching and I wanted to see, I could, we could, as you can see, everyone who's in the room, you might be thinking, oh, we're going to be talking about, DEI or, any of these hot button issues right now. And we haven't mentioned very much of that. John has been talking about having a diverse type of leaders, diverse backgrounds, diverse ethnicities, diverse type of leaders. But we've really been focused on it from a leadership perspective. And I actually went at this on purpose because I really wanted to see how people would react to this topic. How does DEI really affect your company's growth potential? Plus, minus, you name it. And I got a lot of reaction. I got a lot of interaction from people who some people registered, but a lot of people didn't, or not a lot, but some people didn't. Um, And one in particular that jumped out, who it was a CEO of what I presume to be a small to mid-sized company, and that individual wasn't horrible, but I would say the individual made a judgment about me of, maybe what my beliefs are or who I follow or something that was not necessarily based on any information or true either, and referred to this whole area of conversation, DEI, as garbage. And then I got several other comments from people that were, varying to not to that degree of spiciness, I would say, but varying to even to the point of almost being uncomfortable trying to justify why they didn't want to take part or why they weren't interested in the subject. Almost felt like in one case, one individual, a female, almost was like proof saying, "Oh, I don't need to have this," and please don't be mad at me for not joining. And almost like it was bad, that she wasn't interested in taking part or maybe too busy or whatever. And so for me, the first big learning that I had, and I would love for you to react to this, and definitely everyone in the room, if you have a story or a perspective, would love to hear it. This is meant to be a really open discussion, regardless of what you think about the three acronyms or that three-letter acronym. What I'm going for in this conversation is how we as leaders can undertake topics that might be difficult to discuss because people may be coming at them from varying perspectives, which may or may not be, healthy or productive, and how we as leaders can not only navigate but inspire our colleagues, our superiors, our inferiors, everyone to navigate in a way that is hopefully productive, right? Healthy. And to show that through our example. So that's really what my experiment was. And it's been super interesting. So John, what do you think from these reactions I got? I got a lot of reactions, more than I usually would when I'm reaching out to people. Hey, join this leadership event. And like I said, last week we had almost 200 people in the room, and it was loads of fun. And this week we have a good audience, right? But I got a ton of people that are like, "Oh, don't contact me. I don't want anything to do with that." And all this is garbage. And other people that were uncomfortable. "Oh, please don't be mad. That I'm not going to attend." So, what do you think? Why do we get that? Where does that come from when we hear these three letters, DEI? What causes that?
Wow. What a great question that is. And it is almost like touching the third rail now.
It
Um,
is.
it is because it's like as though you have to be for it or you have to be
Or
against it.
can
Ah,
right?
oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes.
Well, the reality is this. Here's some stark realities. The
Hmm.
workforce today, the modern workforce, Gen Z, Gen X, millennials,
Hmm.
boomers,
Hmm.
this is all in the workforce today.
Hmm.
Now, Gen Z and millennials, the younger they are, the more they want to be
Important it
involved with
is.
companies that are diverse, that are
Mm-hmm.
representative of who they feel they are. That's what they look for companies like that. And this
Yeah.
is the up and comers. Those
Hmm.
older folks, I mean, we're going to be out to pasture in a few years.
Not me. I'm only
Exactly,
25.
not me. But the reality is, as we get older, we the
Mhm.
boomers get older. This is where you're going to find most of your um, gripping in. No, this
Oh,
is all
interesting.
bad. This is
Hmm.
this this is where you find it. The older you are in the workforce, the more this means nothing to you, or it shouldn't mean anything to you.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we're the people who run organizations today. We're
Hmm.
we're those people. Where the younger group, the up and comers, they have a different viewpoint on this. And there's been study after study, and I firmly recommend the McKinsey study that diversity wins. I firmly
Hmm.
recommend that to everyone. I mean, there's so much good stuff out there. HBR, Harvard Business Review, has tons of stuff out there on the workforce. Um, just tons of it. Just read it and you get yourself ready for tomorrow. If you keep preparing for today, if you keep training for today or yesterday, you're going to fall behind.
Oh,
This
wow.
is business. This is
Yeah.
everyone that's listening to you should be very focused on their business and diversity. Diversity, oh my God, there we go, that word again, has got to help you with the bottom line.
Right.
It's got to. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Well, some companies are going to say it just doesn't work.
Hmm.
And they'll tell you, well, we knew we hired, we have the exact number of minorities, Hispanic, Asian, African American, you name any kind of racial diversity or
Hmm.
veterans. And they'll
Hmm.
say, we have exactly the number that the state has. We're good. Okay, we're good. Um, so how did you
Are they
hire?
good? Yeah, yeah,
Are you good? Are
right.
you really?
Are
And
you? Are you? Yeah.
I've been engaged with a couple of companies who John, we did this, it's just not working. We're
Hmm.
not realizing all of the benefits of this. Well, okay, let's talk through what did you do? How did you do it? Well, the companies who have done extremely well, they they stuck to their standards. Okay, in our vision, this is who we are as an organization. We stuck to our standards. Okay, so let's go here. Did you require everyone to have a Ivy League education or a college degree? Will that
Yeah,
work?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, a college degree, that's fine. Okay. So
Hmm.
you look at your standards, you test your standards. What are you looking for?
Hmm.
Okay. If you're looking for people who are like you, that is, um, we enjoy the same sports, same sort of recreational activities. We
Mm.
live in similar neighborhoods. We um, we worship in a similar fashion.
Hmm.
I mean, we go right down the line. Next thing you know, and the
Hmm.
last thing's last is, oh, and they tend to look like me. So
Yeah,
we tend to be the same
that's not
race
diverse.
and gender.
Hmm.
Okay, well, that's what you're comfortable with. Is that who you're hiring?
Hmm.
Oh no, but then you look closely. Well, yeah, that is who I hired,
Hmm.
and or
Hmm.
yeah, that is who got promoted. And that I am promoting people who look like me, sound like me, speak
Hmm.
like me. Um, that's not diverse. That's not diversity. Diversity is you keep your standards high, but you're gonna open your spectrum a little bit. You're gonna look at yourself
Mm.
and say, I don't want me. So I am going to look at Rutgers University in New Jersey. I am going to look at, now I said Rutgers and I didn't say Howard. Now,
Hmm.
Howard University has what, 2003, close to, African
Yeah,
American,
the great school. Yeah.
great school.
Hmm.
Rutgers University has well over 3,000 African Americans.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
wow. Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yeah.
So, you got to go, you shop in the right places for the right people. And you're saying,
Hmm.
hey, this person is Asian and they come from Rutgers University, or they're Hispanic and they come from um, uh, UC Santa Monica. They come from,
Yeah.
I don't always need the name school. I just need a school.
Hmm.
And do you really need a 4-year school or will a 2-year school work?
Hmm.
Ah, so make sure
Hmm.
that you're testing what you really need to
Hmm.
do the job, and then you go after people who can do the job. Pay no attention to anything else. Can you do this job?
Right.
Yes, you can. You're hired.
So can I summarize
Yes, go
to
right
make sure I
ahead.
understood you? Okay. So if I've understood you, okay, number one, finding a diverse workforce that you can nurture, coach, and develop to become all prize fighters, right?
Mhm.
It starts with having a really open and broad perspective of who your opportunities are. You know,
Correct.
the kind of people you want to attract and build your organization around. Don't be narrow, right? Be as open as you can.
Correct.
And number one. So number two, then have a really good understanding of not only your personal self-awareness, but the awareness of who you are as a company. Because you said keep your
Correct.
standards high. Because, at Change 3, like I said, it's our mission, it's our calling. Like I see it as literally when I go hire people, and I've got people all around the world and all different types of people. We have a lot of women at Change 3. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though we did just hire a young man, and he's awesome. But because of the type of company that we are, when I say the type, is a lot of our senior leaders work from home, and that works really well with women who have children who need that
Hmm.
flexibility. So it's a
Hmm.
self-selection process. But back to my point, I know what company I'm trying to build, which is people who treat service as a higher calling. So, and I'm not talking about, oh, I want a high CSAT score, or, oh, I want to, I pretend that I'm giving really good service, but like literally, like we really truly care about our clients. Like it's super important
Hmm.
to us to like provide
Hmm.
excellent service. We almost sacrificial in a way. And so that I look for a certain type of a person, and
Correct.
not what they look. I don't care what you look like, and I really care if you got two hairdos or one, if you have three boobs or none, or I don't really care. But it's a personal, emotional, almost attitudinal perspective, and that's what I look for. And I don't care what the package looks like. It's really all like what you said. Can you do the job?
That's That's correct, and that's what you want. That's exactly
Yeah.
what you want. I mean, you look at companies like Coca-Cola now. Of course, Coca-Cola is a monster.
Huge.
It's
Yeah.
probably, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, Fortune 100 or something. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a monster company, but
Hmm.
yet there's not a majority of anything. It's a very
Interesting.
it's a very eclectic kind of company. People come from
Yeah.
all over the world. They look different. They sound
Hmm.
different. They're
Hmm.
different. I mean, then you
Yeah.
have Salesforce, a significantly
Yeah.
smaller company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Salesforce is very, diverse. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
just is.
I met
And
that founder many years ago.
and these companies lead their industries, and
Yeah.
that's what you'll find. Companies that are diverse,
Hmm.
they tend to lead their industries by 12 to 20%. And I'm going off of old information, so it's probably even greater than that
More.
today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's but they tend to lead their industries.
Hmm.
They're the industry leaders of diverse companies.
Hmm. Okay, so let me finish. All right, because I'm gonna get on that point. So because
Hmm.
now we getting into the nitty gritty, y'all. We getting into the nitty gritty, because all right, so we stop thinking about headlines, and you've told us, what it is, how DEI can really impact your company's growth potential by having a diverse set of leaders, diverse set of talents to open up your
Correct.
perspective. Know who you are as a leader, as a person. Know who you are as a company. Keep
Correct.
your standards high, and really open up how you're looking for talent. So that means your definition of talent. And if you want to realize all this potential, it would be beneficial if it was broader, right? Open up what talent. It's not just the school they went to, or what their GPA was, or some of these sort of superficial characteristics. Would you
Correct.
say, so I'm gonna get spicy, John? I'm a blitzkrieg you, dude.
Okay.
so so can you do it wrong, right? Because I mean, I look at the news, and
Oh
my
gosh.
husband is very spicy. Okay. And so, and so for some people, DEI is a slur, right? And like this incident with one of these sea captains that was happened to be a female, and a whole bunch of other acronyms and stuff, and with this a crash or whatever recently in news of late. You might have seen it. And so people made, oh, as if it was the reason why the crash occurred is because she was a female. That was the implication. I thought that's what I read into the headlines. She was a female, and she was only hired as a sea captain because she was a female, and she wasn't really qualified. That was kind of the unspoken, tone. And so people use it as a slur. Oh, you're a DEI hire. Like
Mm,
it's bad. And it's like,
mm.
but is it? It's like, hey, yes, yeah, I'm great. So let's talk about that. Like, can you do it wrong? Like, how
Oh
how
yes.
how do we get here? Can you do DEI wrong?
Yes.
If the most diverse companies, like the two you mentioned, Coca-Cola and Salesforce, are like killing it. Mark Benioff is awesome, right? I met him years ago.
Hmm.
So if they're killing it, then how come all these other guys are like not? And it's a slur. How do we
Oh
get
my gosh.
here?
I thought you were going to get spicy for me. It said you got
I
real
want that is
easy.
spicy.
Oh my God, this is as easy as I can. Do I know where my toes are? Oh my God, this is too easy.
I love it.
Holy smokes. Because people go about it all wrong. I mean, oh
Well,
my
what's that?
God.
Okay, how do you go
Oh
about it
my
wrong?
God. They go about it so wrong, and then they expect all these wonderful things, or
Mm.
they go about it grumbling, we'll just hire somebody. Okay.
Oh, yes.
We just get more women in here. Just get more whatever in here. Just bring them in, bring them in, bring them in.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
then and now you've
Ah,
got all this, you've got all these wonderful people in here
yeah.
who needed a job. They applied, they did all those wonderful things, but you didn't keep your standards. You didn't,
Mm-hmm.
you just hired people. You just
Mm-hmm.
hired people for the social check in the box.
Isn't that kind of the opposite of what it's meant to be?
You know what? That's exactly right. That
It's
is
actually worse,
exactly
right?
right.
It set you back in
It
a way.
set you back. It set
Mm-hmm.
everything back.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do those folks you hired any justice, because you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to promote them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get pissed off and leave. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to sit there and say, see, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can almost guarantee you that 90% or better who are going to sit there and say it doesn't work, that's how they hire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would stop and say 99%, but I can, hey, I ain't perfect. What
Yes.
I'm going to say is probably closer to 90% did not hire the right way. They did not
Mm-hmm.
go about it the right way. And now they have all sorts of issues. And of course, the negative, every leader should understand this. And if you've got folks that are listening and you're all in leadership positions, understand this. The
Mm-hmm.
negative travels 7 times faster than the positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Of
people
course.
are paranoid over getting a negative rating. It is 7 to 1. It moves like greased lightning. But when
Mm-hmm.
something's going well, 1 to 1. Yep. Hey, it's
Yeah.
gone great. Oh, it didn't go so great. Oh my God, that gonna
Mm-hmm.
fly around like crazy. Isn't it
Mm-hmm.
amazing when
Mm-hmm.
someone passes
Yeah.
away, God? But when someone
Yeah.
passes away, the world knows about it quickly, that fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone got a phenomenal job promotion, crickets.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so let's keep going. So now I want to get the audience involved. So guys, so Fernando, Jesse, Susan, Sydney. So I know I'm calling you guys out. Um, I would love if you guys would share. You can do it in the chat. You could join this conversation with John and I. But and I'm gonna share too. And John, I'm you're awesome at sharing. But what comes to mind when you hear those three letters, DEI? So can I share first, everybody, and then anybody else in the room, please share. So for when DEI comes to when I see it, first of all, I'm a little bit old. I'm not much of a follower, and even though I'm in this position and I help clients grow happily, we do marketing, we do all sorts of stuff like that. Um, I don't like to follow trends, and because I find I'm truly an entrepreneurial spirit, and so it's always blazing trails is really what I like to do. So when I start seeing a lot of headlines and things that everyone's talking about, then I tend to avoid them. So for me, when I started to notice this whole DEI, I used to sit on the board of an incredible organization, the Greater Phoenix Urban League is part of the National Urban League. Urban League's been around, one of the oldest charities around diversity for since the civil rights. Whitney M. Young, and so I sat on the board of the Urban League for many many years. And I don't always agree with everything, but that was the first time I didn't hear DEI. I heard equity was the first thing that I started to hear about. And so, and I'm very, very math oriented person. So some things that are hard to define for me, I find to be difficult to incorporate into my day to day business practices. So equity, I thought was difficult to tackle as a business issue, and I would love your guidance on that. John, but I thought, well, everybody starts somewhere else. So how do you be like, oh, well, I feel like I'm gonna just treat everybody equal, right? That's easy for me. I could deal with that. Maybe I'm lazy, but it's like, okay, I can treat you all justly, fairly. I can treat you all kindly. I can do all that. I don't care where your background is. I can treat everybody with love and respect, right? And we go from there. And so that's, to me, I feel like equality. But I started to hear this word equity, and so that was hard for me to wrap my head around. So that's really for me when I see those three letters. Diversity, I'm cool with. I'm like, yeah, I like that. Equity is like, for me, that's hard to. I'm not sure what to do with that. And then inclusion feels almost forced to me. Like I said, I'm not a follower, so I don't like this idea of somebody telling me what I need to do. Because then it's like my husband is like a triple, not a follower. And so if you be like, you need to breathe, then you next thing you know, he's like passing out from not breathing, because he's like, I'm definitely not going to do whatever you've just told me to do. And I think there's lots of people like that. So for me, that's what I see. I feel like, this whole diversity thing was great. Why do we need to bolt on these other two letters? And I have a hard time with them. And that's not to say I'm against anything, because I mean, look at me, I'm all for, opening everything up and treating everybody fairly and getting everybody a shot. I love the idea of it. And I think and for me, I've found that that's worked. I've hired all sorts of people, veterans, ex-felons, you name it. And I think there's some of the greatest, most amazing people come in packages that you never would have expected. And some of the janketiest, no good knuckleheads you ever imagine have a resume that looks amazing. So, I've learned you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't even judge a book by its, what do you call it, preface, You can't even judge it by that. Like, you got to read that book a little bit before you really know what you're getting into. So that's my story about DEI. So, John, what do you think? Like, school me, like, how can I open up my perspective so that it doesn't make me, if to me it feels like an uncomfortable topic. So how should I re-examine it so that it's not uncomfortable?
Well, Nico, I've worked with you for a bit now, and the reality is it's the self-awareness piece um, is extremely important.
Mhm.
To to have that strong self-awareness, to know where, hey, this is what I do, and be honest with yourself about
Yeah.
yourself. Be
Hmm.
honest with yourself about your organization, about your company, about your vision for your organization. If you're in
Hmm.
leadership in your organization, you need to ask these questions. You need to look in the mirror
Yeah.
first thing. Um, um, Diversity is it's just a word. I mean, my God, it's just a word. People, they recoil, they do whatever.
They
Well, call
do.
it something different then. Call it the modern workforce, because it is the modern
Okay.
work. The
Hmm.
modern workforce is diverse, folks. It is. There's
Yeah.
no ways around it. You're not going to get around that. You're going to have every age group. You're going to have those Z's and millennials. You're going to have them. Like it or not, that's your
Hmm.
workforce. Like it or
Hmm.
not, they tend to leave.
I like that. What you just
They
said. It's
do.
like you have to embrace this, you
Absolutely.
know,
This is talent. This
it's
is
not forced upon you. This is the society, right?
right.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
They're not baby boomers who'll hang in there forever. Oh no. These are
Hmm.
no. These are folks that'll walk out because they want a vacation. I mean, no.
Resignation generation, right?
Yeah.
Resignation
Yeah.
generation.
Oh my God. They'll leave. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing of, well, they're loyal to the company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if the company doesn't fit who they are,
Mm-hmm.
they'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
So who's your company? Is your company, oh, we don't like this, it's this, it's that. Well, okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah.
Um, keep doing what you do. Just remember this, companies that are diverse tend to lead in
Perform
their,
better. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
perform better. So, it's the key, the thing to remember, it's always your business and you
Yeah.
have to run your business. And, and if you want to lead your industry, if you want to do as well as you should be able to do, then it's more than just the finance. It's more than your balance sheet. It's more than the P&Ls. It's it's the people who you are leading. It's the people who make up your workforce. They'll
And
drive
it's the
things.
magic that
It's
them
the
together
magic.
make. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you have your customers. Please don't, and I know you never
Yeah.
forget your customers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are your customers all one thing?
No, no. So school me on equity. Like I said, I'm all for like treating everybody equal, but I don't
Uh,
get this equity thing. So school me. Catch me up.
well, equity,
I stole that
equity is
from you.
wonderful. Equity is a wonderful word.
Mm-hmm.
Equity. So, well, I treat everybody fair. I treat everybody the same. Oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
what mistake? No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, please, you don't.
Right.
Don't,
Mm-hmm.
you don't. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
What did he just say? There's nothing wrong with that. Um, I will treat you one way. I get treated another. We're both good employees. Yet, what motivates you to do the best you can do is different from what motivates me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will you treat us both the same? Will our boss treat us both the same? Well, if he does, then he might be mistreating one of us.
Hmm.
So you see, fair is what you use to get on the bus. Fair is something that counties have. Okay.
Okay.
But if I treat you fair and I
Mm-hmm.
treat me fair, I may be being treated different. We may be being treated differently, but yet it's equitable.
Okay.
We're being,
Can you give me an
we're being,
example?
we're being treated in an equitable fashion. Well,
Mm-hmm.
John is a dunderhead and he needs to get kicked in the butt a lot.
Okay.
Nico is nose to the grindstone. Oh my God, she works like 10 Johns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've worked for the company the same amount of time. We do the same sort of work. Does John get promoted over
I
Nico?
see. Okay. Okay. You caught me up. I see.
Does John get
No.
promoted over Nico? No,
No.
no, I shouldn't. But in some
No.
companies, but in some companies I would because I'm a
I get it.
male and you're not.
Mm-hmm. Or no, you've clocked more hours because I took maternity leave. And so
There you go.
the criteria to determine performance might be too narrow, right?
Might be too narrow.
And
Might
that's
be.
the equity piece, which is to make sure you're looking at all your measurement criteria from a back to broadness, right? Making sure you broaden it up. So you're like, am I including, and is that the inclusion part too? Am I including all the right parameters to really evaluate the contribution of each of these
And
great talents?
when we're talking about including people,
Mm-hmm,
what is in Hamilton?
mm-hmm,
I want to be in the room. I want to be at
mm-hmm,
the table. That's
mm-hmm,
now we're inclusion. And
mm-hmm,
this is inclusion. I'm included in the decision making. I have
mm-hmm,
a voice here. I have a voice.
mm-hmm,
I have a voice in the work that's being done. I have a voice. I don't
mm-hmm,
run the show, but I have a voice in the show.
mm-hmm. Well, look
Okay.
at that. I didn't know I was already doing DEI, and look, and I was because I have a
Well,
very flat organization.
and in reality, quite a few companies really are diverse,
Mm-hmm,
equitable, and they're inclusive.
mm-hmm.
People have a voice. They're seen, they're heard.
Yeah,
They
I
have a
matter.
voice. Everybody's being treated in an equitable fashion. Did
Mm-hmm,
I say fair? No, I said an equitable fashion
mm-hmm,
because on Nico's worst day, she's
mm-hmm.
putting out 10 times the work that John puts out on his best day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
is
Okay.
fair a slur? Is fair bad?
Well, people will use fair as
Mm-hmm.
well, which we treated everyone fairly.
Mm.
Okay, we were all at work. Hey, Nico wasn't here. She was off laying around eating bonbons. Okay, but she just had a baby. Well,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I didn't tell her to have a baby.
Mm-hmm. I see.
I'm here every day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
making it every day. Although Nico outworks me
Mm-hmm.
every day, including Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who gets the promotion? John got the promotion. Why?
Mm-hmm.
John looks good, he smells good, and he's always hanging around, buzzing around the office, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't produce like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I that's a very good analogy because
Mm-hmm.
men and women, this tends to
Work
happen
differently.
more often than not.
Yeah.
This tends to happen quite a bit to include the armed
Mm-hmm.
forces. This happens
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Women get the T-Berry shuffle when it comes to a lot of things because they have to take time off for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not treated in a fashion that says, "Hey, that's not equitable treating. That's not equitable
Mm-hmm.
treatment there, buddy."
Mm-hmm.
She outperforms. She does the
Mm-hmm.
job. And
So what do
I'm
you
very
think?
well with. Mhm.
Thank you. I know. Thank you. You are so great. So I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I'm gonna ask you guys questions. Okay. So what do you think about, is this something that should be mandated? Because I think that's where a lot of the spiciness comes in when people feel like, well, I don't agree. Like you said, maybe they had, older school thinking or, more narrow thinking or used to things a certain way, and so now there's all these conversations about it. There's, people that look different or act different or whatever that are saying, hey, you have to do this. And so, of course, a lot of folks are like, I ain't doing none of that. So is this
Mhm.
something that should be mandated? It should be required? Or, is that part of the challenge by requiring it? Like, can you,
Wow, that's
remember,
a
we're talking about business potential, business growth potential. Does the
business
CEO say
potential.
we're mandating this? Mhm.
Well, this is, and now I'm speaking purely for John Boggs. John
Okay.
Boggs would say, no, I don't have to mandate that.
Okay.
Let the market take care of it.
Hmm.
Let the market take
Yeah.
care of it.
Hmm.
Salesforce is Salesforce. Who else is out there doing what they do? You
Yeah,
know,
you're right.
and they're
They're killing it.
sucking wind. They're
Hmm.
sucking wind compared to Salesforce. There are a
Hmm.
lot of other small companies out there who are doing
Hmm.
phenomenal work, and they have a diverse workforce. And they're leading in at their level, they're leading.
Hmm.
You let the market take care of it. Now, I would offer that I think the government does do something that is, here we go, there's that word, fair,
Mm.
when it comes to large companies that have government business.
Mm.
The
They
government
have
has to speak,
requirements.
the government has to speak with one tongue. And if you're going to do business with us, this is what we expect.
Sure.
I'm good with
Reasonable.
that. I'm good
Okay.
with that.
Yep.
But if you don't have government business, let the
Do what you want.
marketplace, let the marketplace, hack you out. If you can't read, if you don't understand the math, if you can't follow, hey, what's going on in the workforce, the modern workforce,
Yeah.
then that's you. That's your business. And this is where you go back to
Mm.
coaching and leadership education because this is a leadership issue. And
Correct.
too
And you
often
can't train anybody on this.
you can't. You too often we try to hammer into, hey, this is really good for you.
Hmm. They don't
Okay,
care.
I've showed you it's good for you. The math says it's good for you. The
Hmm.
history says it's good for you, but you don't want it. God bless you. Good luck.
That's your business. That's
That's
right.
your, and isn't this a great country? Because anyone can start a business
That's right.
and you can win or lose on your own merit.
Amen.
And if you can't win, too
Hmm.
bad.
Yeah. So group. Okay, now I've shared and John has given us perspective. So does anybody want to share when you guys and in the chat and Sandy, let me know. I know we're getting to time and thank you guys so much for joining us. This is so good. Oh, I've just lost my stream. Okay. Sandy, did we get any comments in the chat? Because does anybody want to share kind of your perspective on DEI or when you see that acronym, what comes to mind or what you're seeing? Does anybody want to share? I'm start calling people out. Gail, Lopa, I have a John, Sydney, Susan. Anybody want to share? Okay, I get it. People want to be quiet. Okay, so how about we pop up the poll? So we love to gather information. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have 4 questions, and I would love for everybody to participate. I'll read you guys the 4 questions. We have a little delight that we pick one of you guys, so you got good odds of winning. We give like a little gift card, like $100 away. So please participate in the poll. So the first one is, how would you characterize the growth potential in today's economy, right? Because we're talking about growth potential. And then the second question is, how would you characterize the growth potential of your company in today's economy? Third question, let me see if I can scroll down. It should be up on the screen. What do you believe will drive the most growth for your business over the next 24 months? And then the last one is, what do you think will be your greatest challenges when it comes to growing your business over the next 24 months? So come on, guys, you can participate. So I can get at least, I need a few people so I can get me a nice little winner. You can do it. Come on, people, you can do it. So, and I'll use this time to talk about it. So, and John, I would love your perspective on it too. You know, there are differing views about kind of this current environment. The economy's good, the economy's not good, inflation's good, inflation's not good, you name it. But I'm starting to see a lot of people that are kind of feeling like they're struggling. It's not as easy to do some things. A lot of my big tech clients have been laying off like large amounts of people, tens of thousands of people, and it started at the end of last year. It's been, pretty consistent. They've been laying off people, and that's tech. And tech can sometimes represent, other sectors. So there might be these quiet layoffs. Um, and so that's not necessarily mean that we're in dire straits or anything, but some of this could definitely be related to productivity gains, productivity enhancements. And so they need less staff. And there's lots of people who have opinions about that. But either way, there are lots of really skilled older people. That's what I'm starting to see. A lot of people who aren't Gen Z or millennials or, or these other, cohorts. They're boomers, right? And now they're out of work. What do you say, what's your perception of that? All these sort of boomers that might be having to start over in their career, or get like this kind of a dip. Maybe they've been laid off and they've got 20, 30 years of experience. What kind of an environment are they going to be facing in the job market? How do they make themselves as attractive to today's modern employer, as possible?
Wow, now there's your holy cow question. That
Yeah.
that's that's a great question.
Mm,
Um, there are a lot of businesses out there that um, would benefit from the wisdom of of um, of the baby boomers. But the baby boomers they're getting to that point where they are retiring, where they are leaving
mhm,
the workforce. And those who need to stay in the workforce, maybe they don't have a good retirement. Well,
mm,
life brings a lot of things at us and it brings us really fast.
mhm,
Um, my greatest opinion, hey, you know what? This is the United States of America, and you too can become a consultant, an advisor,
yep,
what are you good at? What are you really good at?
mhm,
Then do that. What makes you happy to do? Make money with it. It's okay. Um, it was time for you to leave the workforce. Okay. Um, make room for the others, for the young people coming up. Okay. Start your own thing.
mhm,
That's fine too. There's nothing wrong. This starting your own business is scary,
mhm,
um, particularly when you're going to try and make money at it and make a living with it. It's scary and it takes time. The key is don't quit. If you're good at something and you know you're good at it, you're passionate about it, you can feel it, you can make money with it. If it's just, well, I think I'll do this, for me, particularly I'm a boomer. At these ages, we start looking at what are you passionate about? What's your contribution?
mhm.
And I'm doing okay, and others can do okay.
Yeah.
And that's that. That's how I see it. It's tough. I can't make you hire me, but I can be really good at what I do.
I always suggest to my fellow small business owners to, in an environment like this where there might be lots of more senior or experienced workers that are getting laid off, like what a great opportunity for us. Because
Hmm.
folks that might not have even considered working for a tiny little startup or a small little business,
There you
next
go.
thing you know, you become a really great opportunity for them. And
Hmm.
they bring all of their experience to your business and they get like a new lease on kind of how they use their skills. And
Hmm.
you gain access to some incredible talent that, like you said, still has a bunch of contribution to make, but, might not have a 40-year career ahead of them or 30-year career. And in some cases, employers, I would say that, some of these younger generations, like you said, generation resignation or resignation generation, I think that's what they're referring to them, is that you're not getting 20 years out of them fools anyways. If I go into my ghetto, my ghetto roots, you're not gonna get, lifetime employment for a lot of these, younger cohorts.
That's correct. That's correct. The older cohorts, the baby boomers, two, maybe three companies in a lifetime. I
Yep.
think today, I think what they're talking about today is that number is going to be more like 6 to 10.
Oh, I saw 12. Yeah, I saw the
Wow,
average
there
was
you go.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
12. And so that means you might get a few years. And that is
Hmm.
like totally normal for them. I mean you watch it, it's very normal. So back to always bring it on topic as we get ready to wrap up. Um John, I'm gonna ask you directly, how will DEI truly impact your company's growth potential? And you've answered in a variety of ways, but can you give us a direct, brief answer that I'm gonna use as my clip? This will be our short.
A direct, brief answer. If you've got a good DEI program, a solid DEI program, you're going to lead your industry in profits. It's business. It's good business. That's all it is. DEI is
Yeah.
good business.
DEI is good business. Look at that. That's the quote. And that
Yeah.
that is not just hiring people based on what they look like
No,
or
no,
superficial characteristic. It's hiring the best people with a broad view, looking at for talent in a variety of places that you might not have normally looked at, and really
correct.
looking at people who can do the job that are different than what you're used to.
Don't change
Right?
your
That's really
standards.
what it means. Don't
Keep your
change your
standards
standard.
high. Keep your standards high, and you'll find across the spectrum, they're there.
Awesome. 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 Well, guys, thank you so very much. Thank you to Sandy who and LinkedIn who got us on LinkedIn Live today. So we've tried a couple of times and we were able to successfully live stream on LinkedIn today. Thank you everyone who joined us, and thank you so much, John, for joining us today for this wonderful conversation. Definitely check us out next month. Every month, we host at least one Growing Happily Together executive discussion. All leaders are welcome, small business, big business, you name it. Our whole focus is all the things that will boost or battle with your growth, things that you might not have thought about, like this topic. You might think, oh, I know all about this, but maybe you picked up some incredible nuggets. Gold and jewels just fall out of John's mouth when he's talking. So you might have picked up a couple. I know I do. And next month, what we're talking about is your website. So we just talked about DEI, right? John said, and you can look at all the stats from like Harvard Business Review, which he said, and the McKinsey study that diversity absolutely drives leadership positions in your industry because you're going to have a better and better decision making, innovation, you name it. So next month, what we're talking about is, will your website really impact your results? So you might have been like, diversity, that's nothing. That's not going to impact my results. Well, it might. So we want you to rethink that. Next month is, will your website impact your results? And I would challenge you to say, yes, it will. But, come and argue with me, and we'll do it in a fun and respectful and delightful way so we can explore if your website really will impact your business results. That's in November. Join us every month. Like, subscribe, follow, join, comment. And in all cases, if you want to speak with John or with me about any of the things we talked about today or anything that you think we could do to help you grow happily, please don't hesitate to speak with a member of my team and we'll get you connected. Thank you guys, everyone, so much for joining us. Thank you, John, so much for such a great conversation. Have a great day, everybody. Grow happily.
I am.
Bye.